A Light Within Darkness Chapter 86, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Countless of her once beloved children lived within planet-sized ships, hiding their feelings and controlling their emotions with an iron grip in order to evade Slaanesh's thirst for their souls. Isha looked between the children of the Craft World Eldar and the Dark Eldar known as the Druhkhari, who lived in the darkest, most twisted depths of the Webway. And as she looked at them, all she thought was how she loved their hippie, unemployed Exodite cousins far more than the arrogant Craft Worlders who believed they were still owed dominion over the galaxy, and to say nothing of the cruel, dark elves she wouldn't care one whit if they were devoured by Slaanesh. Nay. If anything, eating all those disgusting souls would likely give even Slaanesh indigestion. Isha scoffed as she, with cruel amusement, squashed the soul of a homunculus who tried to take over a cloned body, and then she used the smidgens of her freed power to free that homunculus's torture slaves, who obviously began tearing through the laboratory and breaking into the megacity of Comarak. The loving mother of the Eldari watched over her sons and daughters with cool eyes, idly listening to prayers for salvation as the Great Devourer, or as the humans called them, Tyranids, attacked the Craft World, and she admittedly took great joy in hearing the endless death screams of the shattered Kine, who was forced to only temporarily revive under the sacrifice of the aspect warriors who hosted him. Eventually, though she looked up from beyond the great sea of souls and the events of the galaxy to Ellesmere, her husband's other woman, and she raised an eyebrow, seeing her in light meditation. "It's funny," Isha mused. "This galaxy seems to run so much in cycles that only the Great Devourer seems to be breaking our cycle." Isha mused, and Ellesmere's silver eyes lazily opened up as she raised an eyebrow in a silent question. "You see, long ago, fate itself was broken when the Old Ones used magic of untold power to sunder reality, and in doing so created the Eldar gods as weapons to combat the Tan. Spiritual gods versus the material gods of reality in the Tan, really." Isha spoke as she reminisced to those terrible days, literally tens of millions of years ago. The Necrons shattered their own gods in their rebellion and to this day use those Tan shards as weapons, as did the Eldar shatter their gods in creating Slaanesh, and to this day they use the shards of Kine as a weapon. Isha snorted and then continued with a wry smile. "Even the humans aren't exempt from this cycle of great power and grandeur before a terrible shattering, followed by literal pieces of their gods being used as weapons." Ellesmere raised an eyebrow before calmly asking, "And this tale was for what? You think this sect will shatter, and myself, Jake, and yourself will be used in such a manner?" Isha smiled enigmatically before looking out past the walls and wards of the sects as she gazed into the depths of the surrounding sea of souls, as she replied dryly, "Nay. Our first trial is actually almost upon us. One of the human Emperor's demigods are almost upon us, despite me pushing their ship and the Emperor's guidance away from the planet." Ellesmere's face went stern, and her obvious reactionary question earned a nod from the goddess. "Shall we send Jake a warning?" And with that nod, they both pooled their power into the odd magical talisman that Jake had, the other linked one that would only light up when they put power in it, so Jake knew that something had happened and that he needed to make his way back. But as they did so, Isha stared back towards that demigod of the human god, and her lips twitched. "Oh my! This is entertaining," she muttered, seeing that annoying Evrain speaking with Guilliman and noting how they both were looking awkward as hell due to the news of a human. Jake, in particular, having impregnated her, and the other Eldar and Space Marines, were looking between the two leaders and wondering if there was more going on. "I cannot wait to see them and tell them the great news, hee. Isha snickered. As a mother, she had the primordial right to embarrass the youngsters. And if she decided to mess with her bratty children by making certain ones highly fertile and compatible with humans, all the more joy to be had.